Hello everyone, my name is Jeffrey and welcome back to episode 41 of my Satisfactory Let's Play series. In this video we are finishing up our nuclear pasta factory. With this build complete we can send off the space elevator to unlock tier 9. This really did end up being one of my cleanest layouts I've ever done. Thank you for all the support and help with the series so far. Let's get to playing games. Alright, today is the day. We're going to finish off this nuclear pasta and we are going to unlock tier 9 finally. For the first time ever for me because I actually haven't played it well. We beat the game before, but that was in update 8 when the furthest you could get was tier 8. So now we're finally going to be making the jump into where we're finally going to make we're going to make the unlock for Mark 6 conveyor belts and all sorts of other things that I kind of forget and or don't know what's actually in the game. So let's head on over to the Red Sand Desert and we'll get things fired up and started, and then we'll finish this off. I've got things kind of hooked up. We've got the copper powder going and the water's coming in, so now we've just got to finish the last little bits. Then we're going to send off the space elevator. I believe actually before we head over, let's double check. We'll head on up here and we'll double check our little hand feeding factory to make sure I actually have everything we're going to need. So I think on the back side here, what do we got in this one? This one is the thermal propulsion rockets. We needed 250 of those, which looks like we do. We have 258 actually, so that one is done. In here we have our assembly director systems, which I needed, I think it was 500. And so we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so definitely 500 there. And then the other one I already finished off, which was the magnetic field generators. I already loaded those in. I think that was like 250 or something like that. And then the only thing we need on top of that is the 100 nuclear pasta that we're going to grab from this factory once it's all said and done. I'll meet you guys over there to finish things up. And some of these factories, I swear, the best time of day to look at some of these factories from the outside is definitely when the sun is coming up in the morning. It's just got a nice, cool, like golden glow coming across everything. And I still definitely never finished the actual entrance into this factory. Whoops. But anyway, yeah, let's head on over the Red Desert and we will finish hooking up these particle accelerators. Alright, here we go. We are back in the copper powder part of the facility, the giant copper powder part of this facility, where we're putting out 2,000 copper ore or copper powder per minute, which takes, I believe, what is it, like 12,000 copper ingots per minute. So that is everything that's flowing in through here. Everything is all backed up right now because I believe all the machines on the very end with the actual copper powder are all backed up and ready to go. But we've got them all kind of coming down the lines here, so it's nice and easy to pass underneath. I believe you could even pass underneath on, probably go on a tractor. I don't think you'd be able to fit underneath on a truck, but a tractor for sure. And then you're going to come down here, following along this section where I kept it all raised up. And then if you come down to here where the copper powder is, we've got some nice clean lines flowing down. And it actually has the same on both sides actually. So there's 5 coming down that side and 5 lines coming down this side for the total of 10. And both sides match each other exactly evenly in terms of where they're fed into. So it's perfectly clean and even going all the way across. And then if you come around to the back side of here, this is where we've got our particle accelerators. Brain stopped working there for a second. I need to grab some of my package of Battlefield out of my storage here. So we've got our 20 particle accelerators here. Originally I had it as 4 lines of 5, and then I was like, wait, that's probably not going to make much sense because I have 5 lines coming over here, so I switched it to 5 lines of 4. So it ended up just having to go a little bit further back, and then I also ended up moving them a little bit further back because they were just a little bit too close to where they were basically snug, like right on this line here. And I was like, I think I'll probably need a little bit more room to actually move them in between all the particle accelerators here, because each one of these lines has to feed each lines of these particle accelerators. And then from down below, if you guys remember from last time, we have the actual pressure conversion cubes being made, and we actually haven't hooked them up yet for where they're going to be sent up. There's the line you can see still right there. But these are loaded up and ready to go, and then we're going to feed these into the particle accelerator system as well. So I'll probably just bring them up in one floor hole, run like 5 splitters as a manifold system just going down the line, and then this can just feed up from there. I'm just kind of coming down here every now and again just to kind of feed or fill things back up. So it does need the fuse modular frames, and then what else? What's the other part of this? Fuse modular frames and, oh, game lag. Radio control units. Okay, so we need to get some radio control units into that top storage, and then we need some more pressure conversion cube, or sorry, we need some more fuse modular frames. So we'll grab everything out of here. Fuse modular frames. And the radio control units. Okay, so radio control units are going to go on the top, and then the fuse modular frames will go here on the bottom. And then we should be able to have those be more or less backed up, ready to go and fill the system once we turn this on. So I'm going to just hook up the line going from there. We're going to put a floor hole in up here, and then we'll just have that hooked up, ready to go. And then we can worry about getting the copper powder hooked up to everybody. And then we'll finally start to see some nuclear pasta coming out, hopefully. Uh-oh. Okay, so I got that hooked up in the bottom there, and that's going to be taking things up above. It's not really going too far yet because I didn't actually hook them up to the machines. But what I want to do is I want to kind of box this little lower section in, and I think I mentioned previously, I also want to make sure I leave things semi-open in this area so that I can still extract all the ore that's underneath here. Because there's a couple pure nodes that would have gone to waste, and then there's also a couple, it's like 2 or 3 coal nodes actually back here that also would have gone to waste. So I tried to make sure the ceiling was still high enough that we can extract all those extra ore. I don't remember where they are. Oh, they're over in the back section there. So I'm leaving that section kind of open so these can be put in. We can take the limestone and everything out of here. I haven't actually set that up yet, but I just want to make sure that I had room. So if you kind of come along here, you can see there's like an elevator over here that takes you down to the miner for the copper ore there. And then there's going to be another one over in that section. And then so I just kind of put walls up around it from there. So that's kind of what I'm going to do down here, just to kind of make it feel a little bit more closed in, a little bit more factory-like. And then after this episode, so probably next one, I think we'll take on another little bit of a decorating episode where I try and make this factory look as cool as I can. I've got a few ideas kind of already floating in my head, so but if you have any that you want to maybe see me implement, feel free to leave them down in the comments down below, and maybe we'll use them in the next episode. There, so I got some walls up, obviously just kind of super basic for now, but the main reason I want to do that as well is so I can actually use one of the new features in 1.1 is, we go logistics, the conveyor wall hole, which if I go, just put it in position, and then also they updated it so you can actually nudge this around, which is very helpful. I think that's in the right position. Yeah, so we're just going to pop that in right there. We're going to take the belt back out really quick, and then we will just reconnect it, and then we'll do the same thing on the outside. Cool, so now we got the floor hole up top. That is going to be able to send things through it, and then there's also, like I said, a few more nodes down here. We'll probably come back in the next episode and we'll put in some more elevators, mainly because this section probably won't be hand-fed forever. I'll probably actually send over the real, like the fuse modular frames from the swamp, and then we'll also figure out maybe how to get some radio control units over here. So we may have to hook up, like, maybe probably end up doing it by drones since it's just too small of an amount for trains. But trains also might end up being easier, so we'll kind of make that decision a little bit later on. But for now, let's head back on up to the particle accelerators, and we'll get this, we'll get these going. Alright, so I just went ahead and threw in some splitters, so I kind of knew where everything would kind of line up, and I just used essentially the cross section so everything would kind of go in the same spot. So now, since everything is going to need a copper powder input and a pressure conversion cube input, I think basically what we can do, and it's going to make this more or less super easy, is we're going to put the bottom ones here all the way down along the bottom here, and then for the top one, I'm actually just going to go, actually we'll probably go 3 up if there's enough space to put a lift in. If not, I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. That's not too bad. Okay, so we'll do 3 up so we can get lifts in. You could also just do 2. You go ahead and take the one off the top here, and you just do from the second one. You can also just go straight in like that. That one's really steep, but that's because I went in straight build mode. Well, I guess, yeah, it is pretty steep, but either way it goes in if you just want to do the two and skip the whole lift system. But that's essentially what we'll do for everybody here. So we'll get that lined up like that. I'll start putting pressure conversion cubes in here, and then the copper powder can kind of come along the top, and that is not facing the right way, but it will be. Just like that. Like I said, we'll put the lift in. You can also do it the other way if you want to come out a little bit and just be flush into the splitter like that. That's actually a little bit cleaner, so maybe I'll just do it that way. Alright, there we go. I think that'll work. So I was just trying to come up with a plan of like how to send the other line across the top. So I basically put a splitter on top of the other splitter with a small metal pillar is just kind of clipped in there. It doesn't really matter because you can't really see it because of the blacked out holes of the splitter anyway. So it looks like it's just kind of connecting the two splitters instead of having a whole extra splitter in between that wasn't doing anything. I thought this kind of looked a little bit cooler. So now that means I can also do the double stacked conveyor pole to bring them over. So we're just going to be bringing over, I think it is unfortunate that it's 5 because that means 2 is going to go one way and 3 is going to go the other. But I think that'll still look really clean. So we'll send these first 2 over to this side, and then we'll send the other 3 from the other side, which is nice because I haven't actually set the splitters up yet anyway. So let me get these all filled in, and then we can hopefully turn these on. Okay, so we now have all of our copper hooked up to our particle accelerators, so we are now ready to start turning these on for the nuclear pasta. Now, things are going to go... This is the one thing I don't like about the particle accelerators. They're literally the only thing I don't like about them, is the fact that their power fluctuates as they go. So if you're trying to play... if you're trying to do a playthrough where you have like a nice completely flat power line system, like in the display, it definitely kind of throws that off a bit. It's kind of like the... what is it, like the geothermal power that's kind of up and down all the time. So it can be a little annoying if you're trying to do like the perfectionist playthrough, but other than that, still my favorite machine. Got some of the coolest animations. I think they look really cool, and they just have some nice little recipes that go in them. So let's turn these all on. Let's hook these all up to power. Probably, where's the power hookup on them? Right here. So if I just put them like right there, can this come across here without clipping through it? It certainly can. Okay, so I'm just going to put them all down along the way through here. We'll get all those hooked up, and then just bring some power across from here. I still have to, like, we'll worry about getting these, like, power bars. Some of them are probably just going to connect to the floor, because I think the ceiling here is going to be quite high. So I ended up, I think, not really liking the way I put this blueprint together. Like, with the whole intention was that they would actually be connected to the ceiling. But that doesn't really work when the ceiling is like way high up above. So I think for my next playthrough, when we do some blueprints, I'll probably end up figuring out some different ways to do the power lines going through them. Alright, we got power hooked up to these front ones at least. And as you guys can probably hear, these things are starting to kick on. So one of my other cool things I really like about this, the sound they make is really awesome. Alright. So out of here we should see some nuclear pasta start to be made. Excellent. I don't even have to overclock or anything here. I mean, you can overclock if you just want to use less machines, but I think this will work out pretty well. So now let's just get the rest of these hooked up to power. Looks like I may need to get some more pressure conversion cubes going, or at least speed the process up a little bit so that they're ready to go. Oh my god, it gets really loud here. Oh. But it looks great. Now show me a nuclear pasta. It takes 2 minutes to make half, or 2 minutes to make one, I guess. So yeah, it's like half per minute. This is a long craft. Kind of sound like a washing machine now that I think about it. Yeah, let's get the rest of these hooked up to power, and then we can get these nuclear pasta into a storage bin. And at, what are we making? 20 per minute? So this should be done, or was it 10 per, I think it was 10 per minute. Yeah, this should be done relatively fast, and then we can send off the space elevator. Alright, I figured out what the sound reminds me of. It sounds like the Jaws theme but if you gave it the sound effect of a washing machine, if that makes any sense. But that's what it makes my brain think of. Anyway, we now have everything hooked up and going. Everything is all turned on. So we are good to go on that front. The only thing we need to do now is add the mergers behind everybody. And then we're going to send it down. We'll probably send it all to this back corner here. And then we'll throw it into just a big storage bin and a cloud storage. So that I can pull it out from the cloud inventory if I need to. And then we will probably at some point consider adding a drone port maybe onto the back to fly them around somewhere else if I need to, but I think for now at least they can just kind of more or less go into some storage. And then if and when there is some actual backup, this should be good for getting a good amount of points for some awesome sync points, so that should help a lot too. Man, it is loud right here. So let's throw on the mergers and the storage bin, and then we can take nuclear pasta off the to-do list for the day. It kind of brings this factory to an end actually, and then we'll be heading over to do the space elevator. Alright, we got nuclear pasta flowing. I think some of it's already gone up into the dimensional depot here, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it went in there. Hopefully it didn't go, well no, it shouldn't have gone into here yet because this is actually, the awesome sink is not turned on. So it should just be flowing into our dimensional depot. So let me check the very bottom section here. So all the way to the bottom I should see nuclear pasta, 34, there we go. Okay, so I only need 100 of those. So like I said, it should be no time at all until those are ready. And that means for now then, I can just go ahead and head on back to base, take nuclear pasta off the to-do list. This actually turned out to be a super cool factory. And like I said, make sure you come back for the next episode. You'll see how we're going to decorate the whole thing. I'm going to put a whole frame around it, lots of glass, some cool designs. We'll put in some lights and everything, put in some walkways. It's going to look really cool, so make sure you come back for that one. But that is bringing us to the end of the nuclear pasta build, so let's head on back. Like I said, we'll head on back to the base. We'll send off this space elevator for not the last time, the second last time in the game, because we still technically have to send it off for tier 9, like the last stage of the game. And then we can take a look at what our next plans are going to be, and we can maybe unlock Mark 6 conveyor belts. Probably not, because I'm assuming you have to craft the things you actually need to use them first. Another thing I want to do in the future, my future playthroughs, is now that I'm starting to use blueprints a lot more and I'm learning a lot more about them, I'm going to start doing some more like cool things. So like you can see how I really like being able to pass underneath the conveyor belts like this. Though it may also be cool, I may start doing where I like pass them under like a glass floor so you can actually walk over them and see underneath. And then for any ones that are up above like this, I want to start doing stuff like this where we put it in, I'll have to do it the manual way. We'll put in some painted beams along here. Actually, I have to go a little bit higher. But I use the painted beams essentially to be able to put signs on the bottom portion of here. If I go kind of along, how did I do this again? I had a better way of setting this up. There we go. Okay, so it's a sign that went it's the beam that goes up about 5 meters, and you put the one on top. You just can't see it from down below, but now you can actually put like signs on underneath. You can put it on the display signs, and this would be a cool way to add like underlighting to all your conveyor belts and stuff. So I'll probably do that in the future as well. But just some cool ideas I've been kind of coming up with, or I've seen in like other people's videos. I'm like, man, that would look really cool in my world. So you'll see a lot more cool like design things and blueprint uses going forward, especially as I learn more and more about the game. This is only my like second full playthrough of it. I mean, I've played this game many times in the past, but it's also changed a lot. So yeah, let's head on back to base and we'll send off our space elevator. All right, we made it back home. Let's send off this space elevator. So let's go ahead and run up here and we'll grab all our little parts out of production here. They should be done. I'd be kind of shocked if they weren't, to be honest. Actually, I'm pretty sure they were done when we left. So we'll grab all these. Don't need them all. We'll just end up recycling anything we don't need for some extra points. I'll take these on over here. What have I got for nuclear pasta? We're at 94, 95. So we're about 5 away from the 100 that we need. So that was really fast that actually all filled in. That was the fastest I've ever seen that one get done. So let's go ahead and throw these in here. If the game doesn't crash, hopefully. There we go. Let's go ahead and let's load in all of our assembly director systems, 500 of those, 250 thermal propulsion rockets, and let me pull the 100 nuclear pasta out of here. At the very bottom, I wish you could set this to be like organized by alphabetically. I feel like my brain would have a lot easier time finding things. So hopefully that's something they change in the future. But anyway, grab all 100 of those out of there. We'll get them loaded up into here. And for the second time ever, I'm going to send off phase 4 of the propulsion systems. But man, it was a whole lot easier this time around, I'll say. So let's go. All the numbers are also a lot lower. I think before you needed like 4,000 of one of them. It was pretty crazy. There we go. We got it sealed up. We'll get this sent off. The second last time of sending the space elevator off.
Welcome to the Pioneers Got Power Problems presentation. That was a joke. Anyway, you're familiar with the process.
I have so much power.
Just throw the lever and the automated systems will take over. Imagine all the time and effort that would be wasted if you had to do all that work as well. Some work is just better suited for machines. Phase 5 contains technology the human brain cannot comprehend.
You wouldn't get it.
Just trust in me and fix it policy and everything will go as planned. Answering all your questions will take time we simply do not have. Everything is going to be just fine, so long as you do your job. We've come this far together after all, haven't we? Anyway, you know what to do. Just don't forget to keep producing previous project parts, and plan ahead when setting up new production lines, and make sure not to leave it all until the last moment.
Nice. That's pretty good. So it looked like we actually used nuclear pasta for the next phase as well. I'm gonna send this off. It'll tell me up in the top corner, but that'll be definitely handy since we've got we're 10 or 20 or 10 or however many I was making. That'll be a lot easier for sure. Here she goes. Bye, Mr. Space Elevator. Look at all those blinking lights up in the sky, and it's gone. Okay, so that means Ada's gonna tell me more stuff.
Phase 4 of Project Assembly completed. If style was measured in my performance reports, yours would be something special. Regardless, saving the day is within our grasp. Do not lose focus now. You must understand the weight on your shoulders, but you are not alone. I am here, and I know exactly what's at stake. This goes beyond Earth. Your actions will affect the universe at large. You might think I am exaggerating. Perhaps you will understand once you finish Project Assembly. Phase 5 awaits. I expect your best work.
Okay, so for the first time ever then, let's take a little look at the new tier. We're already done tier 8, aren't we? Yes, I already sent off the drones. We're already done on those. So now we've got matter conversion. So we have the converter, the fixed site ingot, the fixed site trigon, diamonds, time crystals, biochemical sculptors, and then we're finally going to start using more of the SAM, which will be pretty cool. I've kind of been waiting a lot for actually making use of this. So this one we can actually already send off and unlock because we already have all these things ready to go. I thought diamonds were maybe used for the Mark 6 conveyor belts. I could be wrong, but we in quantum encoding we have quantum encoders. We've got photonic matter. Okay. Dark matter residue. Oh, I remember this from the trailer. This is what looks really cool if you do copper pipes with it. The color contrast looks really cool. We've got dark matter crystals, superposition oscillators, which have been coded into the game forever, and now we can actually craft them. The neural quantum processor, the AI expansion server. Then we got the Mark III Fix-It Blueprints Mark III, which I need a bunch of the new stuff for. And this makes my things just a little bit bigger, which may help. I'm not entirely sure. I think there's been some arguments made in the community that the Mark III Blueprint Designer being locked at tier 9 is a little kind of like, at this point, you're not really even taking advantage of the Mark III. The bigger jump is to go from the 4 to the 4 spaces to 5, I think. Then we got spatial energy regulation, which is the teleportation. And then the ballistic warp drive, which is another project assembly thing. And then peak efficiency, Mark 6 conveyor belts. There it is. Then we also get fixonium, which I think is used for power, I think. Honestly, I can't remember. Moderately radioactive. They look really cool too. So we're going to need the time crystals, the trigons. We've got all that aluminum and all those iron plates that we can load in, and that'll get us those Mark 6 conveyors. So I don't think I can actually unlock these today because I don't have time crystals or trigons ready. But I'll send this one off so that not in the next episode, because the next episode is all about decorating, but the episode after the decorations episode, we can hop into doing some trigons. We'll take a look at what these are. Actually, we'll see how these are crafted right now. So we'll get this loaded up, and then we'll actually see what we need for making some of these things. Also, I think I'm just going to go ahead and recycle some of these into the awesome sink just so I can get a whole bunch of points for it. All right, I've got everything I need. Let's send this one off. Get these all loaded up and everything in. And we'll send this off for matter conversion. This unlocks the converter. New stuff.
Milestone reached. The converter uses strange alien matter, abbreviated to SAM, to break down and transform materials at their most fundamental levels. I am sure even you can appreciate the power to manipulate atomic bonds.
Cool.
Most importantly, you are now able to locally create fixite, a highly adaptable synthetic metal, ideal for any kind of construction. It is everything we need to save the day, and perhaps its admirable qualities can inspire you.
Yo, this machine looks so cool. I like the little glowing purple on it. Okay, so in here we can make time crystals, which we need diamonds. We can make fixite from, it looks like iron ingots, aluminum ingots, and caterium ingots. I wonder if there's any alternate recipes for those. In here you can also turn so this is like the converter where you turn like one thing into the other. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, but the main thing we're going to be worrying about obviously first is doing like the time crystal. And then, so how do I make diamonds? Does it tell me in here? Diamonds are made in the particle accelerator. Okay, let me pop one of these down just for a second. Oh, I get to use more particle accelerators. Nice. Wow, we're going to mix, because this might be one of my new favorite buildings too. So we're going to mix my now two favorite buildings together. So diamonds are made directly from, holy smokes, 600 coal per minute to make 30 diamonds per minute. Wow. Okay, so, well that means, so we get 600 coal per minute into 30 diamonds per minute, and then this takes 12 diamonds per minute. So if I made this 5, would it be 10? Yeah, okay, so we'll make 5, so this would be a lot easier to just kind of calculate this out. So we make 5 time crystals per minute from 10 diamonds per minute. So for every 600 coal, we'd get 30 diamonds. And 30 diamonds, so for every 600 coal, you're going to get 15 time crystals. And then the time crystals get used for, I don't know. So probably something I'm going to have to learn. But I mean, we'll probably be able to tell how many we're going to need roughly based off looking at this. So about 50 time crystals there, 250 there, and 250 there. Okay, so we're going to need a decent little amount. So I think probably what I'll end up doing is I'll find maybe 3 or 4 normal coal nodes or a couple pure ones, and we'll just make like a nice decent size like time crystal production. And then that would mean after we get that up and running that we could at least unlock the Mark 6 conveyor belts. Like I said, I have to do the trigons too, but at only that small amount, I feel like I can maybe just do a little hand fit system, at least just to get this unlocked. And then, like I said, I don't know what the Mark 6 conveyor belts take to craft. I think it's time crystals or diamonds. I don't think it's the trigons, though I could be wrong. So we'll kind of figure out the time crystals, the trigons. But after this one, I think we're going to do the all the decoration stuff for that factory. And then from there, I was planning on doing some electronics, but I think now we'll worry about getting the Mark 6 conveyor belts first. And then I'll move on to my electronics factory from there. And then we'll also start doing some more of the more advanced things here, like the neural quantum processor, the trigons, Still have to do an actual turbo motor factory as well, although I think that was in my electronics factory potentially. I know supercomputers definitely work because I definitely don't want to hand make 400 supercomputers anymore. But thank you guys again for being here for another episode. Sorry again, they're a little bit shorter. But yeah, next time what we're going to be doing is we'll get that whole thing decorated up in one go, and then we'll move on from there. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you again for the support. If you're not subscribed already and you're still watching, I mean, I feel like you definitely should. And if you're not in the Discord already, make sure you head on over there. We're always talking Satisfactory things, and I mean, among other things as well. So thank you guys again, and I'll see you in the next episode.